Angela slid the laminated sheet across the dining table like it was a real estate deal and not our damn marriage. "I think this will give us both the clarity we need," she said, tapping her stupid French manicured nail against the top corner where it said, Strategic Autonomy Partnership. I didn't know whether to laugh or walk out. "My name's Tom. I'm 39. I live in Tempe, Arizona, with my wife Angela and our 2 kids. And about 6 months before everything exploded, my wife handed me a contract. Angela always talked like she was pitching something. That day, she stood in front of our kitchen island in her power heels and silk blouse like she was at some conference. She called it her career independence plan. Said she needed flexibility to travel, network, attend retreats, stuff that would position her as a thought leader in her space. I read through it. 7 pages. She wrote that I'd be the primary parent, school pickup and drop-off, full household management. She even broke down hours per week, like it was a payroll doc. She highlighted a section that said I agreed to emotional support leadership, whatever the hell that meant. "You're great with the kids," she said, like it was a compliment and not a burden. "You'll thrive if you lean into that. I need to go all in professionally, and this creates a structure." I stared at her. "So what, you just bounce around the country and I hold it down here? Do I get a shot at that kind of freedom later?" She tilted her head. "You're not really equipped for that kind of detachment, babe. You're more grounded. It's a strength." I swear my jaw locked. She made it sound like I was a Labrador retriever too dumb to stray. But I was already so worn out from our fights and the cold shoulder routine she'd been on for months that I just caved. We both signed it. She framed the damn thing and hung it by the front door. I still remember the glossy black frame, dead center above the key rack. Like it was something to be proud of. But here's what she didn't know. I made a copy, scanned it, emailed it to myself, saved it to a backup drive. Call it gut instinct. Call it years of watching her twist every argument into my fault. I wasn't going to end up with nothing when this blew up, and I knew it would. 2 days later, she booked a strategy summit in San Diego, packed a red carry-on, kissed the kids, and left me standing in the doorway holding our daughter's lunchbox like some kind of assistant. I watched the Uber pull away. That was the first time I really felt it. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was just part of the plan. That first trip turned into another the next week. Then another. Angela started throwing around words like Q4 pressure, closing cycles, and executive partnerships. It was always New York. Always some rooftop mixer or fireside panel with founders in her space. Meanwhile, I was the one waking up at 6, making breakfast, packing lunches, dropping the kids off, cleaning the house and answering their bedtime questions like, "When's mom coming back?" She'd breeze in after 4 or 5 days like she'd been to war. Except instead of looking tired, she looked upgraded. Designer jackets, fresh hair, perfect nails. And always that smell, not perfume. Cologne. Sharp, expensive, masculine. "Smells like a hotel lobby," I said once when she leaned in to kiss the kids goodnight. She smiled like I'd complimented her. "That's the Baccarat fragrance they use at the James in Soho." "Fancy, huh?" I nodded, but my stomach tightened. I'd stayed at that hotel once on a business trip. King beds, velvet headboards, in-room spa menu. Not exactly a place for team building. One night, I checked the credit card app and almost threw my phone across the room. A $240 dinner at some Italian place I'd never heard of in Tribeca. 3 days before that, spa treatment in Midtown. Champagne add-on. Room service from the Greenwich Hotel. I showed her. "Wanna explain these?" She didn't even flinch. Just pointed at the damn frame. We agreed I'd pursue growth. I can't build relationships if I'm in sweatpants eating leftovers at home. "You missed Ethan's soccer game," I snapped. "You promised him you'd be there." Her face hardened. "I'm out there sacrificing for this family. Do you want me to succeed or not?" That line, sacrificing for this family, became her shield for everything. Missed game? Sacrifice. No show at Sophie's school play? Sacrifice. Unfamiliar charges at boutique hotels? Sacrifice. One morning, while While I was hauling trash to the curb, our neighbor Liz from across the street waved me over. "Hey, Tom," she said, lowering her voice. "I saw someone leaving your house around noon yesterday. Tall guy, beard, kinda preppy looking. I thought you were home." I froze. I wasn't home. I was at work, covering a half-day shift to help out a friend. "You sure it wasn't the cleaner?" She gave me a look. "He wasn't carrying a mop, if you know what I mean." That night, I waited until the kids were asleep, then asked her straight up, "Was someone here yesterday?" Angela didn't even look up from her laptop. "Yeah, Mark. He dropped off some equipment for a campaign we're co-running." "Chill. Why didn't you tell me?" She closed her laptop, slowly. "Do I text you every time someone breathes near me? Come on, Tom. Don't start turning into that guy." I wanted to yell. I wanted to throw that stupid frame against the wall and watch it shatter. But I didn't. I stood there, jaw tight, hands clenched, staring at the woman who used to call me her best friend. Instead of screaming, I started documenting. I printed bank statements, took photos of receipts, logged every time she said she was in meetings while tagged in rooftop bar pics with the same guy in the background. I started noting the exact time she left and came home, what she wore, what she smelled like. I even took pictures of her suitcases, how they started going from one carry-on to two. The final straw was when Sophie had a fever on a Friday night. I called Angela in a panic, trying to reach her at her hotel. She didn't answer until the next afternoon. Claimed her phone was dead. Said she was off-grid at a mastermind retreat. I didn't say a word, just wrote it all down. Because whatever this was, whatever she was turning into, I knew it wasn't going away on its own. The next morning, I bought a new file folder from Office Depot and labeled it Angela Evidence. I wasn't playing husband anymore. I was building a case. Every time she texted, on a red eye, "Love you," I screenshotted the timestamp, location tag, and flight number. Every dinner charge that showed up during work hours got printed. Her boutique hotel bookings? I cross-checked them against her Instagram stories, public account, tons of behind the scenes. Only now I was paying attention. And here's the part that really made my blood run cold. She was never alone. There was this same guy, tanned, well-dressed, always in the background or just out of frame. The first time I noticed him, he was holding her purse while she talked into the camera about client acquisition. Another post had two champagne flutes clinking by candlelight, only one arm in the shot, not hers. I dug up my old backup phone from the junk drawer, the one with no SIM card, and used it to follow her. No likes, no follows from my end, just silent tracking. Then I went deeper, started recording our conversations, completely legal in Arizona. I'd ask simple questions just to get her on tape. "You flying solo this time? How's Mark doing? Who's paying for the suite upgrade?" Half the time she dodged, the other half she lied. But it was all getting saved. I even recorded her once saying, "Nobody in your position should question how this works. If I'm out there hustling, I shouldn't have to answer to you." Got it, word for word. When I finally called a lawyer, I didn't walk in looking defeated. I walked in with a briefcase, a printed spreadsheet, and a laminated contract. The guy's name was Jordan Rivera. Downtown Phoenix, sharp suit, mid-40s, the kind of lawyer who looked like he hadn't lost a case since Bush was president. He flipped through the first few pages, raised an eyebrow, then let out a low whistle. "She typed this herself?" "Yep. Printed. Framed. Made us both sign it." He leaned back, grinning. "This is gold, Tom. I don't usually say that, but this right here is better than a prenup. This is voluntary written admission of full parental delegation and lifestyle separation. You didn't coerce her." "Hell no. I was just trying to survive the pitch." He chuckled. "Then congratulations. We're filing for divorce under willful abandonment and marital fraud." I nodded once. No smile. No relief. Just focus. I'd given her every chance to fix it, to come home, to be a mother, to be honest. But she treated our life like a side hustle. Jordan asked if I had other proof. I pulled out the folder. Credit card statements, Instagram screenshots, hotel bookings, audio files. He flipped through it and said, You'd be shocked how many guys walk in here with nothing but rage. You brought receipts. You just made my job easy. On the drive home, I passed by Sophie's school. It was pickup time. She was standing on the curb with her backpack crooked on one shoulder, kicking a rock, looking up every few seconds. I pulled over, waved her in, and asked, "Did Mom say she was coming today?" She shrugged. She said she was busy, but she'd try. Sophie didn't cry. That's what got me. She was already used to it. That night, I called Jordan and said, "Let's file tomorrow. I'm done." We did. The next morning, Angela was on another client retreat in the Catskills. While she was busy tagging mimosas and mountain views, I was signing my name on a legal document that was going to blow her little empire to pieces. I dropped the envelope in the outbox and walked straight to Target for new locks. Because from that moment on, I wasn't her fallback plan anymore. I was her exit strategy's worst mistake. 2 days after I changed the locks, Angela got served. It happened at a rooftop brunch in Scottsdale, one of those women in leadership events she lived for. My lawyer's process server walked right up to her table, slid the envelope beside her mimosa, and said her name loud enough for half the room to hear. By the time I got off work, my phone looked like it had been through a war. 30 voicemails, 15 missed calls, and 24 texts. "You blindsided me. You're embarrassing the kids. We could have handled this privately like adults." I didn't answer a single one. At 9 that night, I heard the garage keypad beep. She still knew the code. The door opened, and there she was. Red dress, heels, eyes blazing. She stormed into the kitchen like she still lived there. "You served me? At a professional event? In front of investors?" she shouted. I leaned against the counter. "You wanted independence. That's what independence looks like." Her mouth twisted. "This is an overreaction, Tom. You don't understand how business marriages work. Power couples have arrangements. We're evolving." "Evolving," I said, keeping my voice low. "You disappeared for weeks at a time, spent family money on hotels, and called it sacrifice." She crossed her arms. "You're not exactly innocent. You've been playing house while I'm out there building something real. You think bedtime stories make you father of the year." I almost laughed. "Funny you say that. You remember that framed agreement you made me sign? The one spelling out how I handle all the childcare while you chase your mission? That's your handwriting, your signature. And it's sitting in my lawyer's file cabinet." For a second, her face went pale. Then she smirked, like she'd found her footing again. "You think that'll hold up? Judges respect ambition, Tom. You're small time." I shrugged. "We'll find out." She paced, grabbed a glass of water, and switched tactics fast. Her voice softened. "Look, I know things got tense. Maybe we both overdid it. You filing just proves how much you still care." "Care?" I said. "No. I'm just done being collateral damage." She stepped closer, too close. Her perfume hit me. That same hotel scent, layered over something sweeter. She touched my arm. "You don't have to act tough. We can fix this tonight. No lawyers. No mess." I stepped back. "Not happening." Her smile cracked. "You're really going through with this?" "I already did." She stared for a long second, eyes darting between me and the hallway like she couldn't decide whether to cry or throw something. Then she turned sharp, stormed past me, grabbed a half-full wine bottle off the counter, and slammed the door to the guest room. I sat on the couch, phone recording on my lap, and listened to her pace and mutter for half an hour. Around midnight, the door creaked open. She walked out wearing one of my old t-shirts, hair down, eyes glassy. "Can we just stop fighting?" she whispered. "One night. For the kids." I shook my head. "You made this a business deal. I'm just honoring the contract." She didn't like that. Her face twisted, and she threw the bottle cap across the room before slamming the door again. I waited until she finally stopped moving. Then I turned off the recording, saved it, and sent a copy to my lawyer's encrypted folder. When I finally lay down on the couch, I stared at the ceiling fan spinning slow, steady circles. She thought she still had control. She didn't realize the paperwork she'd once used to trap me was now the weapon I'd use to free myself. By the next morning, Angela had a full-blown PR campaign running from her phone. She posted a photo of herself sitting by a window with a mug and a notebook, captioned, "When ambition threatens fragile men, the cost is always paid by the woman who dared to grow." The comments poured in. "Stay strong, Queen. Let him raise the kids. You're building an empire. Men can't handle powerful women. Facts." I didn't respond, didn't post, didn't like or share. I just screenshotted every word, saved every story, and kept adding to my folder. She kept spinning it like I was punishing her for being successful. Like this was all some kind of sexist overreaction instead of a direct consequence of her own damn choices. Then something I didn't expect happened. Late Thursday night, I got a Facebook message from a woman named Dana Caldwell. No mutual friends, no profile picture, just one line. "I think we should talk. Your wife's been traveling with my husband." I stared at it for a second, then typed back, "His name wouldn't be Mark, would it?" She replied, "Marketing consultant? 6'2", gelled hair, talks like a TED Talk? That's the one." We set up a call. 10 minutes in, we were trading horror stories. Dana told me Mark had been consulting with Angela for over a year. Said he suddenly started needing to travel monthly for brand activation weekends, which, shocker, always lined up with Angela's so-called retreats. He used their shared Amex for everything and forgot she got the statements too. I emailed her the contract. She called me 5 minutes later, laughing so hard she had to put me on speaker. She actually wrote this herself and signed it. "Framed it," I said. "Hung it by our front door." Dana whistled. "My lawyer's gonna lose her mind. You want to sync up teams?" I didn't even hesitate. "Absolutely." She started forwarding me photos. Mark and Angela at dinner in Miami. Mark and Angela poolside in Vegas. One clip had them slow dancing at a corporate mixer. Her hand on his chest like it belonged there. Dana said, "She told Mark you were emotionally unstable, that you'd cheated. He felt bad for her." I almost dropped my phone. She flipped it like I'm the one who stepped out. "Classic narcissist move," Dana said. "Flip the script, build a following, play the victim." Meanwhile, she's screwing my husband in boutique hotels and calling it brand synergy. I sent Jordan, my lawyer, the screenshots, the messages, everything Dana passed along. He called me an hour later and said, "This just went from solid to bulletproof. She keeps digging her own grave and handing us the shovel." Angela, meanwhile, kept posting. One reel had her walking down a New York sidewalk in slow motion. Audio over it saying, "They tried to bury her, not knowing she was a seed." In the caption she wrote, "When you choose vision over validation, the weak will call you selfish." I took a deep breath, saved the video, and filed it under delusion. My daughter saw one of the posts when using my iPad for homework. She didn't say anything, just looked at me and asked, "Why does Mom post so much if she's always working?" I didn't have an answer, but I knew one thing. If Angela wanted a war, she was about to lose it on two fronts. Because now I wasn't the only one keeping score. After that first call with Dana, it was like we'd flipped a switch on a war room. Every night after the kids went to bed, we sent each other everything. Photos, receipts, hotel bookings, room service bills, and entire text threads between Angela and Mark. She'd screenshot, I'd organize. I'd upload, she'd cross-reference. It got surgical. One message from Angela read, "When this all clears, I want you beside me. I'm not going back to boring." Another had Mark texting her, "Tom and Dana are too small-minded to understand vision." That one really got me. Dana's lawyer filed for divorce the next day. 2 hours later, Mark ghosted Angela. Just flat out disappeared. No calls, no texts, no more IG likes. His name vanished from her tagged posts. She removed half her feed by morning. By the time she pulled into our driveway that evening, she was a wreck. I watched from the living room window as she sat in the car for 10 minutes, gripping her steering wheel like it owed her something. Then the door flew open. Her face was blotchy. She held her phone in her hand and hurled it at the kitchen wall. Screen cracked, case split. "This is your fault," she screamed. pointing at me. You ruined the one thing that made me feel alive. I stayed calm. You mean the guy you cheated with? Yeah, that's called a consequence. She grabbed the wine bottle off the counter and slammed it into the sink. You think this is a win for you? He loved me. We were building something real. No, you were hiding something fake, I said. And he bailed the second his wife held up a mirror. She stomped toward me, furious. You don't get it. Mark saw me. You've never seen me. I saw enough, I said. And I kept records. That shut her up. She just stood there breathing hard. Mascara streaked down her cheek. Fists clenched like a toddler who didn't get her toy. The next day, her mom called me. Angela must have run crying to her, hoping for backup. But whatever version she told didn't land. Her mom started with, I just want to understand what's going on, Tom. Angela says you ambushed her. I said, all right, I'll send you everything. And I did. The contract, screenshots, recordings, Dana's evidence, all of it. Her mom didn't respond for 2 full days. When she finally did, it was just one sentence. Thank you for protecting the kids. After that, Angela spiraled. First, she blocked her mom. Then her sister. Then her aunt. I only knew because they reached out to me asking what happened. She's cutting everyone off, her sister texted. It's like she's trying to erase the whole family. It got worse. I heard through Liz next door that Angela had canceled a work trip and locked herself inside her condo for days. Cried loud enough for the neighbors to hear. She stopped posting. No more empowerment quotes. No slow-motion reels. Just silence. That Friday, Ethan came home from school with a flyer for a Mother's Day breakfast. He held it up and said, Is Mom gonna come this year? I didn't promise anything. Just told him we'd see. Because at that point, even I didn't know if she'd show her face again. But I did know she'd finally seen what it felt like to be on the outside. Not admired. Not followed. Not praised. Just alone, in the mess she made herself. The morning of our first court hearing, Angela showed up in 4-inch heels and a power suit so bright it looked like a highlighter exploded. Right behind her was Liza, her cousin, the one who'd been dodging bankruptcy herself 6 months ago. Apparently, she was now acting as Angela's legal rep. Not a divorce lawyer. A bankruptcy paralegal. I watched them walk into the courtroom like they were on a red carpet. Liza had a manila folder, no briefcase. Angela had sunglasses on inside. My lawyer leaned toward me and whispered, This is going to be entertaining. It was. The judge called us up and asked if everyone was represented. Angela raised her hand and said, Yes, Your Honor. My cousin Liza is here to assist me as a legal advisor. The judge raised an eyebrow. She's not licensed in family law. She has extensive experience in legal documentation, Angela said quickly. And I believe the evidence my husband submitted is fundamentally flawed. Here we go. Liza stood, cleared her throat and said, Your Honor, the contract my client's husband submitted was created under emotional pressure. It's not legally binding. He manipulated her into signing something she didn't fully understand. The judge picked up the laminated copy from the file and started reading it aloud. Word for word. The room went so quiet I could hear someone clicking a pen in the back row. I, Angela Martin, agree to independently pursue my career while delegating all parenting and household responsibilities to my spouse, Thomas Martin. This arrangement is voluntary, mutual, and driven by my professional mission. He paused, looked up. Miss Martin, did you type this? Angela shifted in her seat. Yes, but, and did you sign it? Yes, but it was during a time of emotional stress. He cut her off. Stress doesn't invalidate a voluntary agreement you authored, printed, laminated, and displayed in your home. Liza tried to jump back in, but the judge wasn't having it. Unless you're licensed to practice family law, sit down. That was the beginning of the end. The judge went line by line, childcare delegation, financial terms, lifestyle freedom, and basically treated the document like gospel. We walked out with temporary 50-50 custody. I kept the house, and no alimony was awarded. Angela's mouth was hanging open as the judge announced it. Mr. Martin, You've provided ample evidence of responsibility and involvement, he said. Given the written agreement and your documentation, this ruling stands. Angela didn't wait to hear the rest. She stood up, stormed out of the courtroom, and walked straight into the press waiting outside. One of the local reporters had been tipped off by someone, probably her. Microphones in her face, cameras rolling. She threw her hands up and said, "This is what legal abuse looks like. I'm being punished for having a career while my husband hides behind technicalities and manipulations." Nobody flinched. The reporter closest to her asked, "Did you type the contract he submitted?" Angela paused. "That's not the point." I walked past them without saying a word. My lawyer gave the cameras a tight-lipped nod and kept walking. By the time we got to the parking lot, my phone buzzed. Text from Dana. Saw the clip. She's toast. Back home, I sat on the porch with a cold Coke and watched my kids play tag in the yard. Angela's echoing screams from earlier were already fading in my mind. That contract, her masterpiece, had just done more damage to her than anything I could have said or done. And she knew it. The following week, Angela decided to pivot again. She showed up at Sophie's school with a new partner. That's what she called him. His name was Tyler, and he looked like he'd just rolled out of a frat house. 24, baby-faced, trying way too hard in tight jeans and a blazer with no shirt underneath. I found out later he was one of her interns, paid in equity for a business that didn't exist. She introduced him to Sophie's teacher as her co-parent. Sophie stood there frozen, clutching her little purple binder while Tyler grinned like a tourist. "I'm so excited to be part of this blended journey," he said, like it was a damn press release. Her teacher called me later that afternoon. Said she didn't know how to respond to Angela's sudden shift in family structure, but wanted to give me a heads up. I picked the kids up that night myself. Sophie didn't say much. She just asked if she had to call Tyler or anything. I told her no. 2 days later, Angela texted, "Let's do a blended family dinner. Your house, Friday night. The kids need to see unity." I didn't even answer, just replied with, "Absolutely not." She texted again, "You're being hostile. We're modeling emotional maturity for the kids." I texted back, "Bringing your intern to my dinner table isn't maturity. It's delusion." She stopped responding after that, but Tyler didn't. He started posting. Instagram was full of gym mirror selfies and power couple captions with Angela's arm wrapped around him. He wrote things like, "She's the storm, I'm the anchor, and love doesn't ask for permission." She commented on every single one. Fire emojis, heart eyes, my king. It was nauseating. Then one post crossed a line. Tyler posted a picture of him, Angela, and Ethan, my son, in a backyard somewhere with the caption, "Raising strong men who don't become corporate robots." He tagged Ethan. He also tagged me. I saw it around 9 p.m. while scrolling through screenshots for my legal log. My stomach dropped. I called Ethan into the living room. "Did you see this?" I asked, showing him the post. He nodded, eyes low. "Why'd he say you don't have a soul?" I clenched my jaw. "Because he's trying to act like a grown-up and failing." Ethan didn't say anything. He just went back to his room and closed the door soft, like he was afraid I'd yell. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I stayed up cataloging everything. Screenshots, timestamps, comments, even a video where Tyler calls himself Stepdad Energy. It all went into the folder. My running file labeled custody. Phase 2. Angela had no clue that every dumb move they made gave me more ammo. And I was done giving warnings. The final hearing landed 2 weeks before Christmas. Cold morning, gray sky, not a single damn ornament in sight. Angela finally showed up with a real lawyer. Older guy, polished, the kind who probably billed by the minute just to breathe. They walked in like they were about to flip the whole case. Didn't happen. We sat down, and her attorney started with a straight face. "Your Honor, we argue that the signed agreement Mr. Martin submitted was never intended to be binding. It was, at most, performance art." I swear the judge actually snorted. "Performance art?" he repeated, flipping through the laminated copy. Angela's lawyer nodded. "Yes, it was a symbolic gesture. a motivational tool meant to strengthen their partnership, not dictate legal terms. The judge didn't even look up. He tapped the childcare clause with his pen. 100% household and parenting responsibilities delegated to spouse, by choice and design. That's not art. That's clarity. Angela crossed her legs, arms tight across her chest. She was wearing all black, like she was going to a funeral. In a way, she was. The judge kept going. He brought up the spending limits. How she'd written in a $600 monthly cap for non-essential purchases, and then blew 12 grand on retreats, spas, and boutique hotels. He shook his head. You don't get to write your own rules. Break them. Then blame the other party for following what you signed. Her lawyer tried pushing back, but it was like arguing with a brick wall. The judge had everything. Dates, receipts, audio files, and that damn contract in full color with her name front and center. Ruling came fast. Angela lost the house. Judge said I'd been the sole caretaker and maintainer, so the deed stayed with me. Custody? Split 50-50. Official now. Alimony? Denied. So was spousal support. The judge looked straight at her and said, your recent income exceeded Mr. Martin's by nearly $8,000 last quarter. You can't cry hardship while posting luxury trips online. Then came the hammer. She had to repay half of the 12 grand she called business development. Angela looked like someone had yanked the rug out from under her in slow motion. No tears, no fight, just shock. Like she'd finally seen the scoreboard and realized she'd been losing the whole time. Outside the courtroom, her lawyer pulled me aside. If she hadn't written that contract, he said quietly, this would have gone very differently. You know that, right? I nodded. That's why I kept it. He sighed. She's not the first client I've had to drag out of her own fantasy. Angela stormed past us, sunglasses on, face tight, phone in hand like she was searching for the right spin. She found the press waiting again. This was a hit job, she told them. He used outdated paperwork to destroy me. Legal abuse is real. This time, nobody bought it. The reporters barely raised their cameras. One of them asked, but didn't you write that paperwork yourself? Angela didn't answer. She just walked away. I drove home in silence, hands steady on the wheel. The radio was playing some soft Christmas song, the kind that used to make me roll my eyes. But right then, it felt earned. Calm. Clean. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was playing defense. She'd thrown everything she had, lawyers, lies, even interns, and none of it worked, because in the end, it was her own words that buried her. By the time I pulled into the driveway, the porch light was glowing and the kids' silhouettes danced behind the curtains. It was Christmas Eve. Angela was supposed to have them this year. She bailed. Her excuse came through as a rushed text around noon. Can we reschedule? Things shifted last minute. Translation: Tyler went to Miami with his real girlfriend. Apparently, she found out through Instagram stories. Classic. At 8:15, both kids were upstairs. Sophie snoring under her glitter blanket. Ethan passed out in flannel pajamas with a book still open on his chest. I turned off his lamp, pulled the blanket up, and just stood there a second, watching him breathe like I used to when he was a baby. Downstairs, the tree lights blinked slow and soft. I poured 2 fingers of bourbon into the glass I only used for actual peace. Not celebration, not company, just quiet. Angela tried reaching out once more. A text from an unknown number lit up my phone. I miss what we had. Let's talk before the year ends. Blocked. No hesitation. That version of her didn't exist anymore, and I didn't owe the ghost a response. I sat on the couch, glass in one hand, phone face down on the table. No buzzing, no spinning, no tension. Just stillness. Dana had messaged me earlier in the day. If we ever co-write a book, I get the title. Framed by her own frame. I told her she was evil for that. We both laughed. She's good people. Keeps things sharp. Honest. We check in sometimes, nothing dramatic, nothing weird. Just 2 people who survived the same storm and lived to tell the punchlines. Across the living room, above the shelf where I keep the kids' baby photos and a couple of their old school crafts, hangs the framed contract. Same frame Angela picked. Still laminated. But now it's mine. My lawyer keeps the original locked up, just in case. But the one on my wall? That's the trophy. Not out of pettiness. Out of proof. Proof that words matter. Paperwork matters. Especially when someone tries to screw you with a smile and a buzzword. I took a long sip, leaned back, and listened to the silence stretch out around me like a blanket. No court dates. No staged Instagram posts. No interns playing stepdad. Just me. The lights. The bourbon. And two kids upstairs. Asleep in a house that finally felt like home again.